What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. And today it is approaching the end of the year and there are a ton of motorcycles that are coming out new or revised for the new model year. And I figured since I didn't want to cover every single one of them individually, let's just throw them all together and see which ones come out on top. So today we are going to take a look at my 5 most anticipated and 5 least anticipated motorcycles, because there are some that I just don't care about. So without further ado, let's dive on in. Now, the way things are going to work here today is I'm going to tell you the bike, I'm going to give you the price, specs, some horsepower, weight, and all that stuff. And then we're going to talk a little bit about why I either am excited for or not excited for that motorcycle. Now, let's dive in with number 10, the Indian FTR. Okay, so if you saw at EICMA, there are some new FTR models. I'm not gonna get too deep in the specs here because they're basically the same motorcycles as the last generation.
Now, the biggest bummer for me about the Indian FTR 1200 for 2023 is that, they basically just looked at Yamaha's color schemes and were like, I'll have that, thanks. Yeah, the Sport Edition looks kind of cool with the new belly pan and stuff, but I'm not seeing enough on this motorcycle to really want to go grab the keys to a new one. Don't get me wrong, I will ride one if given the opportunity, because the Sport seems like a more affordable version of the Carbon, but, I don't need to. I really don't need to get on that bike. I don't think that there's enough different there to really do it for me.
Number 5 most anticipated is going to go to the Harley 975. Now, there is no new update here. It's still the same 975cc liquid-cooled V-twin, making 90 horsepower and 70 foot-pounds of torque while weighing in a little over 480 pounds. And it still costs about $13,500, but I'm still interested to ride this bike. Let's talk about why.
Of course, the Harley was going to be here on my most anticipated bikes, and yeah, it's not new, but I don't really care. I still want to ride it. It's one of the motorcycles that is missing in my review repertoire, I suppose. I'm dying to see how this bike feels, because for those of you who have followed my work, I'm a huge fan of the Sportster. I think it's this icon of American motorcycling, and I was gutted to hear that the Evo engine is now gone the way of the dinosaur, but who knows? Maybe we can actually see the carrying of the torch in the 975, but I gotta ride it before I can make that conclusion.
Number 4 least anticipated is going to go to the new Triumph Street Triples. Nothing major going on here, but still, they're a bit of a letdown.
Much the same as the FTR, I don't love the way that Triumph is just kind of doing the MT style graphics. It seems like it's coming around a lot. You see it in cars where they get these really garish colors that are flat and really neon-y, and I say that as somebody who is currently sitting on a flat red motorcycle, but flat red has kind of been Ducati's colorway. Triumph doesn't have stuff like that. Their colors have always been sort of muted and chilled out, and I appreciate that about Triumph. Don't get me wrong, the motorcycle itself underneath, awesome, but I don't really see why people are getting super excited for the new model year.
Number 4 most anticipated, though, this one is kind of a new motorcycle. It's the Ducati Scrambler Urban Motard. This motorcycle has the same 803cc V-twin, 74 horsepower, 58 foot-pounds of torque, weighing in around 430 pounds and costing a little under $12,000. Let's go talk about why, obviously, I might be just a little excited for a Ducati Urban Motard.
Now, I actually have ridden the Scrambler platform before, and that 803cc air-cooled engine is an absolute sweetheart. Holy cow, is that engine so characterful and so much fun to ride. But the Urban Motard, it looks like the desert sled, but, meant for fooling around. You know, the Desert Sled is actually kind of a hooligan-y motorcycle, and they made it even better with the inclusion of 17s. I'm really excited about this motorcycle. I don't think I'm gonna go buy one, but I definitely would love to ride it. I also think it looks freaking sweet.
Number 3 least anticipated is going to go to the Ducati Diavel V4. This one's new for this year. The Diavel updated with the V4 motor, 1158 cc's, making about 168 horsepower, 93 foot-pounds of torque, 520 pounds wet and ready to ride, and a healthy $26,695 price tag. Unfortunately, I think this one kind of missed the mark.
Okay, now this one is definitely going to earn me some hate mail, but man alive, I do not see the point of a V4 powered Diavel. I honestly don't. Now, I have ridden the V4 in a few different places, and I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't like the way that it makes its power. It's very much a motorcycle that you need to scream off the top end. Maybe Ducati's tuned it a little bit better, but seeing as how it's down on torque by 2 foot-pounds, I know it doesn't sound like much, my guess is that it's going to end up being a very horsepower first engine. Muscle cruisers are all about torque, and honestly, for the price, I'll just take the Lowrider ST, honestly.
Number 3 most anticipated goes to a bike I've actually kind of covered extensively so far. It is the Suzuki Vstrom, which I don't understand why it's a Vstrom anymore. The Vstrom DE 800 or 800DE. This is the new version of the Vstrom with the 776cc parallel twin, around 83 horsepower, 55-ish foot-pounds of torque, 507 pounds wet and ready to ride, which is a little heavy, and we don't have a price yet, but I'm expecting this to be around $10,500, maybe 11,000 bucks. There's a lot of things going for this motorcycle, so let's take a second to talk about it.
You know, I honestly see the DE 800 or 800DE. I think DE 800 sounds better, frankly, but I see that motorcycle as being the, like, grown-up KLR. I honestly think that this motorcycle could be a very excellent adventure platform, and one where I used to think the V-Strom was but now it actually looks like an adventure bike I really want to ride and test out. I'm not a huge fan of the looks and the color. Again, we've got that MT inspired colorway, but you know, between that and the Transalp, I would rather bash up the Suzuki than the Transalp off-road. But that's just me. Again, I have information on this motorcycle, an entire video I made comparing it to the Transalp, if you want to check it out, in the cards.
Number 2 is most of the new Hondas. I don't really care about the new Scrambler 500, I don't care about the Transalp really, and I don't care about the new Rebel 1100 bagger. There's a lot of problems with these motorcycles, but suffice it to say, they're just more Honda stuff.
I'm sorry to keep beating on the Hondas, guys, I really am, but once again, another year, another raft of boring Hondas. The Scrambler looks a little bit cool. I'm not gonna lie, I think that's a great little option, but it's just a modded out Rebel with a high exhaust, and my feelings on the Transalp are well documented. I've got a card right there if you want to check it out. But, you know, I don't really see much from Honda this year. And same deal with the bagger. Like, yeah, okay, it's a great idea, but I don't think that the Rebel 1100 platform is necessarily the bike to do it. When I was riding that bike, it really didn't feel like a bike for long hauls. It really felt like a naked bike mushed into a cruiser.
Unlike number 2, the new Honda Hornet 750. This motorcycle is powered by the 755cc parallel twin, 91 horsepower, around 58 foot-pounds of torque, 414 pounds wet and ready to ride, I believe. And this motorcycle does not have a price tag. However, I'm expecting it to be like 11.5, maybe 12 grand. I'm expecting this motorcycle to have a Honda price tag, but despite that, I think this thing has a lot going for it, assuming it makes it to the United States.
So I've spent a long time bashing the Hornet. Why is it on my most anticipated motorcycles when the Suzuki was my pick? Well, honestly, I just think that the Hornet has more in its repertoire for me. I think that as a slightly more experienced rider, I can have a little bit more fun on the Hornet than I can on the new Gixxis 8. Now, don't get me wrong, I really like the Gixxis 8, and you can consider this an honorable mention for it in the number 2 spot. But I also am a huge fan of the Hornet, having owned the 919. I gotta see if this motorcycle stands up to the Honda nameplate, and you know what? It kind of looks cool, I'm not gonna lie.
My number 1 least anticipated bike for this year, it's a BMW Boxer. It's the R1250R. This is a motorcycle I didn't even know came out, and honestly, I don't care. It's packing that same 1254cc Boxer engine that's from the R1250 and a couple other motorcycles at this point, and it's making 136 horsepower, 105 foot-pounds of torque while weighing in at 527 pounds. The nice thing is this isn't gonna cost too much relative to the specs. This is a $15,000 motorcycle, but it's still not enough to get me excited.
I don't have a lot to say about the BMW, honestly. A lot of people give me grief for not liking the Boxer Twin, but I just don't like the way the Boxer sounds. It's this weird, like, biplane soundy engine, and yeah, it makes a great amount of power. It really does. I will not fault it for that. And in the adventure bike, you can really lug that thing quite a bit, and it, you know, keeps working. But I'm just not excited about another BMW Boxer. I know it's their calling card, but it just doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry, BMW people and Whitney. I know y'all love your Boxers, you do, but it's not for me.
Now, I cannot wait for the hate mail for my pick for number 1. It is the Royal Enfield Super Meteor. That is correct. I am most looking forward to a Royal Enfield with its 648cc parallel twin, making only 47 horsepower, 38 foot-pounds of torque. It's a little heavy, but it's a cruiser, 520-ish pounds wet and ready to ride. One of the things that gets me the most excited though, I bet you this motorcycle costs no more than 6,500 bucks. Let's talk about why such a simple motorcycle is my number 1 most anticipated motorcycle out of all of the bikes that we saw at EICMA.
Royal Enfield at the top of the list. Who thought you'd see the day? Well, you know what, guys? I really love what Royal Enfield is doing, and again, if you're interested in hearing some more of my thoughts on it, I've got information for it right there. But I just think that this is going to be a great beginner platform in a spot where there really aren't super great beginner options anymore. You look at the Sportster, the 883 has gone the way of the Dodo. You can find some used ones, a ton of used ones in fact. But this is going to be cheaper than some used 883s. So I think this is going to be basically the new winner in the beginner cruiser marketplace.
And there you have it, guys, the motorcycles that I'm most looking forward to, and some of the ones that I won't be too bummed if I miss an opportunity to ride. If I get a chance to ride any of these, you can be sure that you're going to see a full review on the channel, and probably a little bit of other goofing around, because, I mean, they're all motorcycles, and even if it's one of the least anticipated bikes like that BMW, you can still have a good time on it. Let me know down below what motorcycles you're looking forward to the most, and I will catch you guys in the next one. See you later.